educating, and empowering you into action. This is Warriors Talk with your host, Lady ReShell.
Hello, hello. Welcome to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady ReShell, where we move away from awareness towards action. It is Health and Wellness Monday, and our topic for today is the silent side of cancer. We are live on Intellectual Radio. We just heard from the Drive F5 with Roman. Keep it locked right here on Intellectual Radio and allow us to feed your brain. On the last episode of Warriors Talk, I spoke with Mimi Frazier, the founder of Linkage Wellness, and we talked about empowering women through wellness. You can head over to Intellectual Radio on YouTube and stay connected for any episodes you may have missed. The quote of the day is, "When you get to the end of your rope, tie a knot and hang on." That quote is by Franklin D. Roosevelt. We are so grateful for our sponsor on today. We have Emmanuel Church of God in Christ with Pastor Michael Richardson, who has a special message for us.
Greetings, I am Pastor Michael Richardson.
And I am First Lady Anastasia Richardson from the Emmanuel Church of God in Christ. We're located at 3058 West Van Buren in Chicago, Illinois. We are building upon a solid foundation.
And we're inviting you to join us every Sunday morning on Facebook Live at Emmanuel Kojic at 10:15 Central Standard Time. And you can also view our videos on our YouTube channel at Emmanuel Kojic-MR. Once again, this is Pastor Michael Richardson
and First Lady Anastasia Richardson. And we're from the Emmanuel Church of God in Christ. We are building upon a solid foundation.
World Cancer Day is an international day observed every February 4th to raise awareness about cancer. It encourages prevention and it mobilizes action to address the global cancer epidemic. The day is led by the Union for International Cancer Control, and it was established in the year of 2000. The World Cancer Day theme for 2025 through 2027 is United by Unique. Right now, as of 2020, approximately 20 million cancer cases were newly diagnosed and 9.7 million people died worldwide. By 2050, the number of cancer cases is predicted to increase to 35 million based solely on projected population growth. If you are tuned in on any form of social media, like the show, share the show, and invite someone else in on the show that you feel may benefit from this valuable information. So today we're going to talk about the silent side of cancer. And this is for anyone who has had a cancer diagnosis, or you know someone who has had a cancer diagnosis, or if you had a diagnosis of a major illness, some of these things may apply to you as well. So let's just jump right in and talk about the emotional toll that cancer takes on someone when you get a cancer diagnosis. And we know the first thing that sets in is fear because of everything that we have heard about cancer, everything that we have seen on TV. They always show some little skinny person with a bald head looking sickly. And so that's how we identify with cancer. When we see or hear that someone has cancer, we're thinking about those things. We're like, oh, okay, that's how they're going to look. So as far as the emotional toll, fear and anxiety sets in about not just about the future, but like what's happening right now, what's going through my body right now, and then what's going to be happening in the future, because I'm going to maybe have to do surgery, chemo, maybe radiation. They may have to cut off some body parts or put some implants or something in me. Like, it's so many things that goes through your mind when you first hear the words that you have cancer. And fear is one of those emotions that sets in quickly because you have no idea about what's going to happen. And if you're a person that don't know how to deal with fear and anxiety, I would say find some type of regimen to where you're able to decrease that so that it won't overtake you, because it could be overwhelming, just receiving that diagnosis. The emotional weight of waiting on test results. So once you're first diagnosed, they're going to put you through a series of tests, right? The first test they're going to put you through is probably, when it comes to breast cancer, would be the mammogram, and then letting you know, okay, we need to do maybe an ultrasound, or we need to do a biopsy where they, well, when I did it, they were sticking a needle inside of your breast and taking some tissue and sending it to the labs. Now you can do what they call a liquid biopsy, so they don't really have to put you through the trauma of sticking a needle in your breast and sending you home with a Band-Aid on it, to wait for it to heal. So just waiting on test results to come back, waiting for the doctor to give you a call to say what's going on, what's next, can really have you going crazy in your mind with all sorts of thoughts. And they'll say, oh, don't worry about it. Just wait until you go back, to the doctor. It'll be a couple of days. It's like, why do I have to wait a couple of days? Why can't we just get this done right now? Like, with all of this technology in the world, you feel like they should be able to get these things done and tested in a matter of seconds. But believe it or not, some of these doctors may have you waiting. I know for me, I did the mammogram, the ultrasound, and the biopsy all in one day. And the doctor called me the next day and said, hey, you have cancer. And I was just like amazed, like how you know that quick, like really, that was really fast. But yeah, they can do it that fast. And some of them, maybe if they have a lot of patients, or depending on, I don't know what kind of insurance you have, it may take a couple of days or so. Sometimes it may be people being lazy and just not getting back to you, or putting your results in what they call my charts, which I feel like my charts is just so not personable. But it's for people who want to know. Maybe you want to read it in the comfort of your own home, which is okay. So, and then the one of the benefits of my charts that I like is that your records are there. Like, even if you want to switch doctors, a lot of them use my charts, and so you don't have to like request your records. Like, everything is there. Your history of your medical history is there. So that's one of the good things about my chart. As far as the emotional toll, a lot of people may deal with depression. Depression can set in. And for most of the part, if you're going through a cancer diagnosis or you're newly diagnosed, the depression is not long term. A lot of times it's just for a short period of time because of the diagnosis. And then as you get further and further along in your journey, then that depression part tends to kind of like wean off. And you may have spells that you may think about it, and the trauma that you're going through, and it may come back, but it's not something that's going to be, for the most part, long term. Loneliness, and I would say don't keep it to yourself. So if you feel depressed, communicate that to your doctor, and I wouldn't say right away allow them to put you on any medicine or anything like that, because there are different ways that you can deal with depression without medication. So, but at least communicate to your doctor that this is how I'm feeling. So they may offer for you to go to see a therapist or a counselor, which I am all for. Loneliness is one of those things that when you have a diagnosis, you tend, especially if nobody else around you in your immediate family or your close circle has that same diagnosis, then you tend to feel lonely, because yes, I could tell my husband about it. I could tell, my friend about it. But if they have not went through the diagnosis, it's kind of hard for them to really be in my shoes, right? They can have empathy for you, and just feel some type of way because you're feeling that way. But if they don't have the same diagnosis, it's kind of hard for them to really say, yeah, I get it. I know exactly how you're feeling. So a lot of times you retreat into yourself and you feel lonely because you feel like I'm the only person that's going through this, or you feel like nobody else understands what you're going through. And no, I always say your diagnosis is unique to you and yourself. So even if they try to compare you to other people, you're a totally different person than the people they're trying to compare you with. So, and the way your body reacts to different medicine and different things may be totally different than the next person. So don't compare yourself to whatever somebody else is going through, even if you were diagnosed with the same thing. There's a thing called survivor's guilt that individuals get when they're diagnosed with, it don't necessarily have to be cancer, but survivor's guilt is, I was diagnosed with cancer. My sister was diagnosed with cancer. My sister passed at the age of 52. When I got to that age of 52, I was nervous because I was like, oh, like she passed at 52. And then once I surpassed the age of 52, I felt kind of guilty because I'm like, she passed away from this. Like, why couldn't she live to share her journey and tell her story, tell her story? She was diagnosed in 2010 of April. By December of that year, we were burying her. So I felt some type of way because then I'm like, what? I'm not special. Like, what? Why am I still here? Like, why did God see fit to take her and not me? So you have that survivor's guilt, and you think about every time you hear someone pass away from cancer. With me, it's breast cancer, especially because the breast cancer community is so close knit, that when I hear that somebody passes, it just does something to me because it makes you think of your own mortality. You think about, wow, that could have been me, or you think about, am I next? Like you don't know because you think about, oh, when I saw that person, they looked fine, but we know you could look fine on the outside, but the inside could be a whole total mess. So survivor's guilt is one of those things that I would say, our life is not in our own hands, right? It's not. God is the master. He created us, and it's up to him as to how long we're going to be here, what we go through. I had to come to the realization that God allowed it, right? He allowed the cancer to come. He could have said, I ain't gonna let my baby go through that. Nope, I'm not gonna allow her to go through that. He allowed it. He allowed it for a reason, and ultimately it's his will. He's a sovereign God, and my thinking is that he allowed it because he's going to get the glory out of it. It's something that I'm going through is going to allow him to get the glory out of what I'm going through. And I figure like he knew that I wasn't going to keep my mouth closed. Like at the beginning of my cancer journey, I was silent because I had to come to grips with what was happening. And before I went through treatment, I didn't want to hear the opinions of other people, especially if they hadn't been through it. So I had to just, close down, go into prayer, had my mom praying, my pastor and them praying, and my whole church was praying. And I had to really kind of like retreat within myself and be silent so that I could hear from God to say, hey, is this sickness unto death? Like, what is this? If you allowed it, and how can my body glorify you with this disease? Like, what can you get out of me going through this? So it's a lot. So I had to accept it myself that this is what I'm going to be going through. I had to process it before I could share that news with anybody else. That's a lot. That's a lot. Hey, Rizal said, and everybody trying to tell you how to handle it and never went through it themselves. Man, ain't that the truth? That bothers me. It really does. Oh, I know someone who went through it, and this is what they did. They stopped eating all sugar. They not doing caffeine. They just doing all juicing and this and that. And it's just like, okay, that may work for that person. It may work for that person. It may not work for you. It may not. Who knows? Your cancer may be more aggressive. Your cancer may be already too far gone. Who knows? You don't know. So I would say sometimes you have to block out the noise, right? You have to block out what people are saying. And there are some things that you can do when it comes to eating, when it comes to exercising, when it comes to less stress, and when it comes to making sure you get your rest. That plays a part in your mortality. Yes, and I would say do those things, but research those things for yourself before you just allow somebody to give you a remedy that they haven't even tried, that they haven't even been through. They don't even know nobody that has been through it, but they're going to tell you what you should do to get through it. this is your life, and you don't allow anybody to play doctor or play God with your life. I think sometimes we forget about the caregivers when it comes to the emotional toll of cancer. Um, a lot of the caregivers do have the unexpressed grief that they go through, as well as your loved ones. Just imagine being someone, you're taking care of someone who was once vibrant and up and strong and just doing everything. And then next thing you know, they're stricken with this disease and they're like almost like an infant. Like they can't do anything for themselves. I looked at my dad. Like my dad I've never seen my dad sick he died at 71. I never seen him sick. And then all of a sudden he get cancer and it takes him out so quick. And it's like I saw my mom, I watched her just like, by his bedside and just, loving on him and taking care of him. And that took a lot on her because my dad was the breadwinner. My dad was the one who, worked, brought money home, and made sure the house was taken care of. My mom was a housewife. And so, then the roles kind of changed. So now here she is, catering to him and making sure she's taking care of him, during his last days. And it was a sight to see because it takes it takes a special kind of person that can do the caregiver role, right? Everybody's not built to be a caregiver. Because sometimes you may get frustrated, sometimes you may get tired because, it's a lot. Sometimes the person because they're going through it, and it may not be them, but it may be the disease, and then they may be kind of like angry or mean, and, and you have to not take it personally. It's a lot. It's a lot. So you have to be a strong person to go through, especially that caregiver role, or just to be a loved one, supporting your person going through. So if you are a caregiver, make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Make sure that you are practicing self-care and you're taking time to pour back into yourself, to love on yourself so that you can be refreshed and, to be able to take care of the person that you love. A lot of times we don't talk about the mental aspect of going through cancer. And I think this is one of the bigger silent side effects when it comes to going through cancer is your mental. And it's because they treat the physical, but they don't focus on the mental. I can oh God, I could lose count on the number of survivors I asked, did your doctor recommend a counselor? Did they talk to you about your mental health? And a lot of times they don't, because they're so focused on the physical, and a lot of times because they're not educated in the mental, right? So that's not their expertise. Their expertise is to give you that medicine, get you through that treatment. But part of getting you through that treatment is to deal with the mental as well. And so a lot of times you can be mentally exhausted because you have so many appointments, so many different treatments, and then you dealing with the side effects from the treatment, different scans, blood tests, different, you may have to go and get an ultrasound of your heart, ultrasound of your kidneys. They're trying to make sure that before you go through chemo that your body is going to be able to go through it, right? So they're going to put you through all of these scans. And a lot of people have scan anxiety, knowing that you have to go through this. You have to sit, especially the ones where you have to sit and they say, oh, don't move, but you're going to be in here for 45 minutes. You're like, are you kidding me? Like, why y'all just couldn't knock me out and have me in this machine where I got to be woke? So a lot of times survivors and those who are going through, they have scan anxiety about the scan coming up. When you have the scan, now you're waiting for the results. Like that plays a lot on your mental. I don't care what nobody says, it plays a lot on your mental. And I think a lot of times we forget about the chemo brain when it comes to just the difficulty of trying to not just remember, but keep up with your day-to-day activities that you normally would do. Being your memory, your mind being exhausted because it's thinking about this disease and what it's doing to your body. and what the treatment is doing to your body. So your mind is really exhausted. So you may go through chemo brain. There may be some times I can remember having to write down things, when I was talking so that I would remember it. And I would write it down so that, okay, let me not forget. And yeah, it's gotten better over the years, but chemo brain is a real thing. And I would say don't beat yourself up about it, because it's something that not everybody goes through, but it's something that you go through, and it's because of the treatment. And like my doctor told me, it's something that will pass, right? It's not something that is permanent. And I'm not sure if I've never heard anybody still say they suffer from chemo brain. And it could be possible. Hey, Lisa, it could be possible. Results say yes, and you are focused on staying alive, so your mind is racing and your soul won't rest, so you're constantly on edge. Ooh, that was a good description. Oh my God. Oh my God. Like, and I tell people that um sometimes it subsides, right? Like when you're first diagnosed, it's like really heavy on you. You just trying to figure out what's happening, right? I used to go to sleep. I used to watch comedy shows to go to sleep when I was going through chemo because I couldn't sleep. So I would just go through like a series. I would binge watch comedy shows to keep me laughing until I fell asleep. And then next thing you know, it was time to get up and get the kids ready for school. But and I did that so that my mind wouldn't be racing. I didn't want my mind to be racing. So I figured that this is one way to keep me laughing. They said laughter is good medicine. And so that's one thing I did. I did a lot of praying. I did a lot of reading my scriptures so that my soul can be at rest. It could be at peace, right? So I just kind of fitted God's word, my worship music. But trust me, a lot of times you feel like you are on edge. Like you feel like, oh, I'm about to check out of here at any moment. And this one right here it can be very discouraging. It's that pressure to stay strong just so you can appear okay to other people. Because the one thing that I've noticed, that when people know that you have been through a cancer diagnosis, the first thing they do when they see you is like, are you okay? Is everything okay? How you doing? You all right? Oh girl, well you look like you skinny, or you look like this and this, and it's just like, now, come on. And I want to just, I try not to be sarcastic or nasty to people. And sometimes you just smile and be like, yeah, I'm okay. How are you doing? You throw it back on them. How you doing? You all right? But the pressure to stay strong, I would say for me, would have been with my kids and just at home around the house, because me being a single parent and not having like somebody like a male or spouse there to help me. I relied on my 15-year-old daughter that was there. I relied on my mom, who helped me a lot. She went to all of my chemo appointments. And so I appeared strong for my little children, right? Because they were all under the age of 10. So for them, I appeared strong. But for my 15-year-old and my 18-year-old at the time, like they knew what was happening. And so I didn't really have to be strong for them. They allowed me to go through it and just let it happen. But the other ones were too young to really know what was happening. Kenya just wrote a book, and Kenya, I would encourage you to call in because, yeah, I'm going to try to get through this. Kenya says, I know for me, receiving the cancer diagnosis was one of the most life-altering moments I ever experienced. The initial shock often leaves individuals feeling as though their world has been turned upside down. It's not just about the physical battle ahead. The mental and the emotional toll can be equally, if not more. That's so true. Challenging in the days, the weeks, and the months following a diagnosis, the whirlwind of the emotions can rise: anger, fear, sadness, and even the moments of hope many people grapple with. I can't see the rest of it. It won't show me the rest. Kenya. Darn it. I totally agree when it comes to, and so much is happening. And this is why I say you need to first process your diagnosis yourself before you open your mouth and start telling the world what you're going through. Because you're going to be going through all these things that Kenya said. It's like a whirlwind in your head because you're trying to figure out, oh my God, like, what do I do first? What's happening here? Right. And so, you're going to have to go through this physically. And then mentally, you really left to deal with this on your own because the doctors are not really concerned about what's going on with you mentally. And so, equally, yes, Kenya, equally, you're going through it physically and you're going through it mentally. One does not outweigh the other. One, physically, you could just see and know what I'm going through. The mentally, you can't really see it, but trust me, it's weighing on that person very heavily. Very heavily. And so that's why it pays to be kind to people because you just don't know what somebody is going through. And when they're going through something, if you don't have anything nice to say, then just shut up. Just don't say nothing at all. Just say, hey, I'm thinking about you. I'm praying for you. Don't pray on them, but really pray for them. Like, if you don't have anything to say, give them a hug. Like, but don't come with the negative. Don't come with the negative, because right now, where I am right now, oh my God, I'm liable to say something back, and I try to be nice to people because sometimes they don't know, but then sometimes you do. Sometimes you do. So just watch what you say and be kind to people because you never know what battle someone may be going through, and you never know what battle you may be going through, maybe coming up in the future. So you may want somebody to be kind to you. So be kind to people. Show people some grace. So another silent side of cancer is the spiritual battle. This one right here can have you questioning your whole faith, everything that you're going through. Remember I said God allowed it, right? He allowed this to happen. And you wonder like, why? Why are you allowing this to happen? Like I could think of some criminals that have killed somebody, some serial killers that have killed people that's sitting in jail right now. They could be going through this instead of me. Like why they get to sit in jail and not really suffer, but I have to go through this, right? So you question your faith, and you try to search for meaning as to why you're going through this diagnosis. Am I going through because of something I did? Was it a sin that I did and now God is just repaying me for some bad choices that I made? And did you repent for the choices that you made? Like you should. Before I went through my treatment, I made sure that I repented. Like before I asked God to heal me, I asked him to forgive me for any sins that I've done, whether they were something I did directly or just did it and really didn't know I was doing it, but I did it. And I asked for forgiveness before I asked him to heal me, before I asked him to preserve me. That was one of the things that I did. I question God because I'm just like, why does cancer even exist? Like, if you're this all powerful God, then you should be able to wipe this out. Like, why not? And I just figure it's all in his timing when he's ready to do it. Kenya said definitely questioning your faith. Why me? Yeah, the why me, man. I can remember many days I spent in my bedroom with my door closed. When the kids went to sleep, I'd lock my door and I would just cry, just bawl out, just cry. And I mentioned the one time I cried and God visited me. As I was crying, I was listening to my music, reading my scriptures, and he visited me. And I was praying and crying out to him, and I call him Lord. That's what I said. I said Lord, and I call him, and he visited me through the song that came on the radio. The presence of the Lord is here, and I heard that song, and the atmosphere of my room, my bedroom changed, and I knew he was there, and I knew he heard me, and I said, okay, that was my opportunity to tell him what I needed from him, and so I did that. And then once I got done telling him what I needed from him, the next song came on was Let Go and Let God. Girl, you can't handle this on your own. Let it go. Give it to me. I got this. I got this. Cast your cares on him. Why? Because he cares for us. Because this was something I couldn't carry this even if I tried. Only reason why I was able to do it is because he gave me strength. He gave me strength to do it. Lisa said, yep, that was my thought process. I definitely questioned God. I know they say, oh, you shouldn't question him. Oh, I did. I questioned why, Lord, why? What's happening? And it wasn't until he visited me that night that I knew at that point I wasn't going to die. I just had to go through it. I had to go through it in order to get to the other side to understand what it was, why he wanted me to go through it. And now I understand why he wanted me to go through it, because going through it, my purpose was on the other side of it. So the whole time I wasn't walking in purpose. I was just existing. And we're here for a purpose. And we should be fulfilling our purpose on earth. There are people that are assigned to us, assigned to our assignment. And if you're not walking in purpose, then those people are not getting what they need. And you are responsible. You are responsible. The spiritual battle, I'm gonna go to the hitting physical challenges really quick. These physical challenges, we know side effects can last long after you're done with cancer, right? They're called the long-term effects of cancer, that linger, that may not show up maybe 10 years from your diagnosis. I know a lady that went through a heart transplant after 10 years after her diagnosis. And we know that chemo can cause you to have a bad heart because of the toxins that go through your body. And so those long-term, I deal with neuropathy. That's a long-term effect. I deal with lymphedema. Those are long-term effects of cancer. And I would say some people may still have the fatigue. You may not ever get back to that energy, that vibrant person that you were before cancer. You may get to 80%, but you may never get back to that 100%. You may never feel that. Lisa said that was God's message to me, that I am ready, that I'm already healed, but I have to go through the process. Sometimes you just gotta go through the process, and you have to just trust and believe that God got you through that process. And trust me, he will give you the peace to get through the process. So you would look at other people that's going through and you'd be like, oh, wow, they really going through. And you could be going through too, but God is just, not that he's not keeping them, but he's when you have a relationship with him, he's going to keep you. He's going to keep you. Kenya says she deals with neuropathy too. Neuropathy is no joke. Sometimes I get it when I'm driving, which is so dangerous. But I refuse to try to take any type of medicine or anything like that. When you're eating right and you're exercising, I feel that it comes less. So I just have to stay on that. Sometimes people deal with body images. We know, yes, Kenya, it's called peace, and he will give you that peace that surpasses all understanding. People look at you and say, hey, you going through cancer. How are you smiling? How are you doing this and doing that? And you going through, because God will allow you to have that peace. And they won't understand it. Sometimes you go through, when you're dealing with the silent side effects of cancer, you go through body image struggles, right? Sometimes you lose your breast by choice, or you may have to get one breast removed, both breasts removed. You may have implants, and you may not feel like yourself, because sometimes people with implants, you still don't have any sensation in your nipples, right? They may have took fat from some parts of your body to put in your breast. So now you got scars here. Some of us, a lot of us have the port scar, right? A lot of us have just different scars from if you got lymph nodes removed. You may have body images, like you may not feel sexy, right? You may not. you maybe you don't even want to look in the mirror at yourself naked because you're just like, who is this person? Like, that ain't me. So you go through that, and it takes a lot um to look at yourself and appreciate the whole you, and you're here. And there are things that you could do cosmetically to make sure that your body is at a place to where you love your body. And, but I would say do whatever it is that you have to do to make you feel comfortable and for you to love yourself. Some cancer survivors may be on medication that they have to take long term, and maybe 5 years, 10 years, or there may be those who are dealing with, they call them thrivers. They have metastatic breast cancer where they're taking medicine. Maybe they are on cycles, or they may have to take it for the rest of their life. And that alone can have you either having changes in your body, hormone changes. You may never feel like yourself again, never. And they may release you to go back to work. And although your time is up to go back to work, but your body may still be in a place to where you have no strength. But you got to go back to work. Why? Because you got to pay your bills. So the financial struggle of cancer is very real. Individuals go through. Some people may lose their jobs. Some people hours may get cut. Some people may not have the strength to go because of their treatment. So you have these bills coming in, right? You have co-pays, you have bills coming in because you're taking all these tests, and that can play, it can play on your mental as well, because you're like, I don't have the strength to go get a second job to pay these bills. So what am I going to do? What am I going to do to pay these bills? I'm worried about my health, but I got to worry about them. It's hitting my credit because I'm not paying it. I'm late. And there are some organizations out here that do help individuals that are going through a cancer diagnosis financially, but it doesn't take away all of what you're going through. I don't know a cancer organization out there that would say, give me all your bills, all of them, and we're going to wipe them out. But there are some out there, like Warriors Talk, that will help you and to bridge the gap over until you're able to financially, just to give you a little peace of mind. So I would say you can go to the Warriors Talk website, and on there I have a resource section, and under it has financial resources for individuals who may be going through and just need a little financial stability. Make sure you get into like a support group where you get a support system around you, or you get into therapy and you make sure that you're feeding your mental, because once you're done with the physical, you're left with that mental. And it's not a good picture. Kenya said the actual aspect financially can break you mentally. Baby, absolutely. Absolutely. And you don't need anything else that's going to take away from your focus on you being healed. My last one is for individuals to take action. If you know someone that may be going through and they're silent, they're not acting like themselves, and they have a diagnosis, make sure that, again, you're showing them care, love, and you're, asking them what's going on, try to figure out what's going on, and try to help them seek help so that they can be their best selves. Speak up for yourselves, break the silence. You don't have to go through by yourself. You're not alone in this battle. There's so many other individuals out here that are going through, and you don't have to share your journey with everybody. Do what God leads you to do, and you will be able to help somebody, because you're going through that cancer diagnosis for a purpose, and whatever that purpose is, you need to seek God and ask Him what that purpose is. Kenya says, I'm sacrificing now to help someone. Yes. Mentoring someone else that's going through. Ooh, baby. You're reminded about what you're going through as well while you're helping somebody else. You guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady ReShell. Coming up next on Intellectual Radio is Pillow Talk with God. And I will leave you with these words of wisdom. The only way to make sense of change is to plunge into it, flow with it, and to enjoy the dance. And that quote is by Alan Watts. Join me next Monday right here at 6 p.m. on Intellectual Radio. As always, thank you for tuning in to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady ReShell, where we are changing lives one warrior at a time.
Thank you for listening to this week's edition of Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell. To find out more about Warriors Talk, follow at Warriors Talk, the number 1, on all social media outlets, and Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell on YouTube. Please join us next week and every Monday evening at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on intellectualradio.com for Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell, where we encourage, educate, and empower you into action.